chapter number 6, verse number 12. Tatra ekagram mana kritva yatachit indriya kriya upavishaya asane yunjayat yogam atma vishuddhaye. Three words that need to be understood right at the outside. What are those? Tatra eka agra. Tatra eka agra. In English we can spell them like this: the one ahead. The word ekagra in Hindi and Sanskrit is a combination of two words. One is ek, another is agra. Ek means the one, digit one. Agra means ahead. Tatra means the one that is ahead. In the verse number 11, the journey we embarked was upon the way one's asana has to be created. The place where you have to be seated upon. What kind of a asana, what kind of a mattress, if I spell it more in the English term, what kind of a mattress it has to be. And as it was detailed from the understanding drawn from this ancient immutable knowledge, that mattress has to be three-layered. The lowest layer has to be of the grass, the middle has to be of the woolen blanket, which earlier used to be leather. Today we have modified according to the prevailing times. And the top layering has to be cotton sheet. The combination of these three materials would constitute that appropriate asana or the mattress whereupon a sadhaka has to be seated upon. The three layerings are going to look after the comfort, the insulation, that is the bad conductors, and at the same time are going to restrict all gravitational pulls from the earth or the dampness, etc. It was well detailed in the verse number 11 that the asana has to be neither at a great height nor it has to be in the deep depths. One has to be seated in a most comfortable position so that one is relieved from the physical dimension and is able to plunge inside. For the immersion inside, for the immersion within, one has to undergo a state where one becomes oblivion of the physical dimension. Because if the physical dimension is going to create restriction or discomfort, one would not be easily able to immerse or plunge inside. So that was where we culminated in the last classroom, covering the verse number 11. Now, the science furthers, the science of consciousness furthers. Since it is a science, therefore, at every step you will find a why and a how. A why and a how. These two fundamentals, they navigate any subject of science. Why should I do this and how should it be done? So why and how, they navigate you all through the procedures of any scientific experiment. Likewise here, in the experiment of the state of consciousness, let us understand what is the next why. The last verse number 11 was upon how one should be seated upon. Now is, why should you sit down? Now that you have created a asana, a mattress, a seat to be seated upon, now why should you sit down? What is the objective? What is the purpose for you to sit down? The purpose is, right at the outset it mentions tatra ekagram. You have now to come down the one ahead. What is the one that is ahead? Obviously, the object for you to be seated upon. the object of your contemplation or the subject of your contemplation. What is that one ahead? The one ahead. The one ahead, according to the ancient Indian understandings, the ancient Indian wisdom, that one is not restricted to you. The objective, the primary objective is to relinquish yourself from all impurities. That is said and done. But the mannerism of that are not restrictions, they are open to you. The one that is ahead, you have to now focus upon that, but that one is not ascertained. It could be a mantra, it could be a sound of like Om, it could be your idol, or it could be some sort of a thought. You could contemplate upon light, you could contemplate upon a mantra, you could contemplate upon a sound, you could contemplate upon an idol, anything that goes with you. If I use a small abbreviation to say, anything that you feel you can sync with, anything that you can sync with conveniently is the subject or the object for you, the one ahead. Tatra ekagram. Ekagra, the word ekagra in Hindi and Sanskrit is also used to express focus. You have to focus. It is all the same. You have to be with it. You have to stay there. You have to immerse into it so that everything else dissipates. You and that, nothing else. Now, what is going to be that for you? The one ahead is for you to choose, is for you to ascertain, for you to discover within yourself by experimenting. It could be that when you are chanting or you are propitiating a mantra within, you feel as immersed inside. You become oblivion of all other aspects. There is no sensory urge that comes to distort your focus. There is no thought from the past or any other kind of a propensity that comes as a rider to thwart your efforts to concentrate. Nothing intervenes. It could be sound, it could be idle thought or anything else. You have to discover that. Because the objective is that you have to withdraw from all wanderings, all distractions, all fragmentations of your awareness. Wherever your awareness is apportioned, it has to be now recoiled back. You have to withdraw yourself back. And the tool for that is to come and station yourself with the one that is ahead. I am reiterating again, what is the one that is ahead is for you to discover for yourself. It could be different for different kinds of people. It cannot be professed that it has to be the one and same for everybody. No. Someone may go easily with sound, another may go with mantra, another with an idol, another with some thought. Maybe that when you visualize a snow-clad mountain, you can experience that thought for hours together. Depends upon person to person. It cannot be a Murphy's law that yes, this goes with everybody. No. It's for each one of us to experiment and discover for ourselves what goes most with us. It does not mean that the moment we discover that object or a subject where we can say that this is the one for me ahead, that you would become dissolved into it immediately. No, it's not like that. It is to ascertain what goes most with me. Something which I can stay with for a period of time before I again go back to my previous behavior of wandering. What is that can make me stay? What is that can make me withdraw myself to one point for a considerable period of time? That's something I have to discover. Because the purpose of my sitting down on an asana is now to focus upon that one ahead. It could be subject, object, mantra, sound, idle thought, anything. You have to discover that. And it should be such, the guideline is also there, Yatachatendriya kriya. It should be such which could easily enable you, elude the distortions and the turbulence created by sense mongering or the ripples upon the mental plane by various thoughts that we experience. This chatting machine, brain chatting, has to cease for a while. Although when we sit down for meditation, we start with the primary exercise of breathing. We try and focus with absolute control upon the inflow and the outflow of the breath. We try to travel along with the breath right from the tip of the nostril, going deep down the throat, chest to the navel. And then again, the moment we exhale, we travel back along with the awareness. So that awareness sticks to the cycle of the breath, the life cycle. So that we can further the same focus upon the one that is ahead. Could be mantra, sound, idle thought, anything. So that the turbulence, the ripples, the turmoil that is every moment created within our own existence by sense mongering or at the mental plane by some thoughts, memories, unaccomplished desires, etc., could cease for a while. This is why we have to sit down. This is why we have to sit down. Why do we have to contemplate upon the one ahead, the one that we are going to discover for ourselves, the one that could be distinct for me, maybe for someone else as well? Why do we have to do that? As I started and I said that it is science, a procedure where why and how shall have to travel. Another why to the why that preceded was, why should we sit down so that we can focus upon the one ahead? We have to discover for our own self, so that the sense and the mental plane and unaccomplished desires do not intervene. Total dissolution could at least take for some moments of time. A small interlude experienced without any ripple or turbulence inside is also a bliss. Why do we have to do that? The answer for that is Atma Vishuddhaye. The word is Atma Vishuddhaye. Vishuddhaye. Atma Vishuddhaye. To remove all contaminants that cover the basic spark, the divine spark within each being. Every single being manifested upon this planet or wherever it could be. As the great masters from the unknown times have professed it again and again, reiterated through various texts, spiritual texts, that each and every single being has an infinitesimal spark of the divine within. We may not be able to realize it inside, but it exists. And what is it that restricts us to realize that spark is the layerings upon that spark. There are different layerings on the spark. It is something like the carbon that assimilates, the carbon that comes and creates a layering even upon the moving fans. In India, we specially understand that in a year, at least twice, we have an opportunity to clean the blades of the fan. The fan moves continuously, yet there is a layering of a soot. We term it as dust, we term it as carbon, or whatever it may be. The soot of that layering, it comes and sticks upon the blades of the fan. We remove them, and at times we get astonished at how come a thick soot of layering could cover the blades of the fan. Something similar, not in exact sense, but yet we are using this particular illustration just to approximate what exactly happens in the field of consciousness. According to the great masters, each and every divine spark has got layerings of such soot. Atma Vishuddhaye. We have to purify. Purify not the divine spark, but purify the divine spark of all layerings atop it. The layerings of all kashayas, all kashaya. Kashaya means all past memories, whether they are there as experiences of the past lives, whether they are hard conditioned conducts that we call the sanskaras, that also we are termed as propensities, all kinds of kashayas, all likes and dislikes, attractions and repulsions that have been accumulated as experiences, all those have to be relinquished. They have to relinquish. They must dissipate. Unless they dissipate, the spark shall not be able to surface. In the spiritual parlance, the entire endeavor of all sadhanas is primarily one. What is that? To enable the divine spark within each one of us surface with its own true effulgence. It beholds a lot of effulgence into it, but it's not able to sparkle only for the reason because there is so much of soot, a layering of all past experiences atop it. Those experiences restrict this divine spark to surface. And it is well experienced even by this humble teacher in his own personal life. Whenever there have been moments, a continuous movement of for me to go and concentrate within for a couple of days, maybe a couple of months, we have experienced it very well that during those periods especially, deep realizations, they surface into our understandings. Though deeper understandings are termed as bodha. Bodha. Those deep understandings are termed as bodha. They do surface atop, but the moment our experiences restrict because we are conditioned initially. Initially we are not masters. Initially we are only sadhakas. We are conditioned. Our experiences are restricted with the efforts that we make to dive within. By any kind or for any reason, if there is an obstruction into the sadhana that we experience every day, if that disconnect appears, at the same moment, experiences also wither away. And this is something I can recall from my own experiences. But for great masters, for the exalted ones, it is not so. They have degravitated from all these coverings. They have risen above. For them, eternity is a blissful experience. They realize whatever they want to realize. They understand whatever they want to understand. They know whatever they want to know about anything, subject, object, whatever. It's not the case with us. But we are all onto the same journey of evolution. It's a one-way ticket we have already embarked upon. And in this one-way ticket, it must be understood that all these efforts, all these concentrations, contemplation, all these asanas, all procedures are for one and only one single objective: to purify the spark of its layerings. These layerings could be having their own different names, abode, maybe Panchkosha, Annamay, Pranamay, Manomay, Vijnanamay, etc. Maybe different Panchkoshas, or whatever term we want to ascribe them towards or assign them with. Does not matter. What matters to be understood is that past experiences of the unknown past lives have accumulated a thick layering of a soot atop the divine spark that does not allow its effulgence to surface. And for us to sit down and be with one subject is to restrict all turbulence and ripples that every moment relentlessly, continuously come and distort our mental plane. When is a moment when you can say that you were thoughtless. It is rarest of rare that we experience complete thoughtlessness. It's rarest of rare. At least I'm talking about myself. I don't know about you. It's rarest of rare. There is something or the other that becomes the business, that becomes the occupant of this awareness. There is one or the other kind of an occupant here. At times there are multiple occupants, inconclusive, unaccomplished, uncherished occupants that keep dwindling, scintillating the seat of awareness. Maybe from senses, maybe from experiences, maybe from desire, from wherever it could be. The objective is clear: to restrict ripples, movements, and all scintillation that is sourced to either senses or past experiences or whatever, and relinquish and relieve the divine spark within each one of us from all its coverings that keep turbulating, creating a turmoil. And the procedure is by coming down to the one ahead, tatra ekagram. That tatra ekagram, the one that is ahead, has to be ascertained and discovered by each one of us. It could be different for different people. What goes with us is a matter of experiment. Till the next classroom, let us experiment what goes most with us. It is not an assurance that whatever we discover, we will be totally absorbed into it. No, we will not be totally absorbed into it. But yes, we would be able to find out that I could stay more with a mantra, or I could stay more with the sound, or I could stay more with the vision inside, or with the vision of an idol. What I could stay more with. Let us experiment that. And if by the next classroom we are able to find out that, I think we would say enough has been covered so far. The journey is yet to continue. In the next verse, the same yoga of meditation shall continue on its own procedural parts of why and how. Till then, I'll say again the same: Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om.